Welcome. Welcome. I'm a couple of minutes late, but hey, that's what happens. And I am going to share something that's a little different for me with most people. I'm very, I like to say I've studied, and this is true actually, I've studied almost every tradition, a lot of them going. And when I left Lama, my comment was, we can pray in almost every tradition in the world, which is also true because we studied everything there. And so I really enjoy looking at all kinds of different traditions, including the Christian tradition. And so I found this guy. I'm not even sure how I found him, but he comes on at 10:30 on Sunday nights here in New Mexico, and his name is Joel Olstein, a Christian pastor. And I really enjoyed his message and his teachings. And in part, I think it's because they're very uplifting in a really general way versus the, let's scare the hell out of them with fire and brimstone kind of thing. And he has a lot of really good jokes frequently, and some really good points and some really good ideas. And one of them recently was around our faith in challenging times and using, say, deserts and superblooms as metaphors for how this can work. And I really liked it so much that I was going to share that here. And it's given me a lot to think about because honestly, I mean, we all go through them. And I have recently been going through, I don't know about a dark night of the soul, but a hard time, let's just say. And so it's around, again, faith in challenging times and knowing we all hit those challenging times. So this was a really interesting way to look at it. And actually faith is a really interesting concept or an interesting thing that varies among all of us. It's like, do you have faith in yourself? Faith in the country, the government, the culture, the religion, the seasons, unified field, faith in the divine and God. Some believe in the fates. They've got faith that, fate's going to take care of everything. Some believe that things are ordained and set in stone. Some believe in luck or have faith in their luck, and others have some in destiny. There's a lot of things that people have faith in. And so then it's like, all right, Diana, well, then how do deserts, faith, and superblooms all relate to each other? And this was what I thought was interesting. So, and Joel, I'm paraphrasing where I'm using a lot of his ideas and my own reflection. And so sometimes life actually can be like one of those super blooms, right? I mean, there's rain and then, well, first there's all this drought. There's been no, like California last year, no rain, things are in drought, stuff's dying, it's all going critical, losing water. And then all of a sudden, all the rain comes. I mean, places that might have gotten a dozen inches a year, we're getting you remember in the news, they were getting a dozen inches in a day or 2 days. And so then the flooding all started happening. So all of that, once that kind of had passed, then spring comes. And then what happened in California and Arizona was suddenly unforeseen. And I found out these happen about once every 10 or so years, super blooms. There were flowers everywhere and flowers that had been dormant for years. And so I got so into this today, I want to share my screen with you. I just want to share some of these images. And so it's like, look at that. That's like, oh my God, gorgeous realms, right? And then, all the organ pipes in the background. Look at this. Holy cow. Look at, I got excited, so I did a lot of pictures. I mean, look, and they happen often you can tell all the deserty stuff, but this reminds me of the hills in California. And these are just so absolutely beautiful. Truly, truly beautiful. And so this is what happens after a whole lot of devastation. And so the torrential rains had fallen in the fall and winter again. huge hardship. So if we look at it as a metaphor for life, life will do well. For me, the downpours in life, I've just been going through one. I'm all excited. I'm getting involved. I'm going to be a speaker here, and I'm going to do a presentation there, and I'm setting it all up. And all of a sudden, my payment method completely crashes, and then that means all my website links have all crashed because the other thing crashed. And then I go to set up all the mailing response things, and all of that had shifted. That's a big downpour. And for others, it's like, for me, it's like, one thing after another, problems at work, problems at home. And then, we can start to think, oh my God, it's always going to be like this, or what the hell, why? I'm going to have these issues all of my life. I'm never going to have a vacation, or you'll be lonely and work all the time, or it varies for all of us. But using it as a metaphor suggests that all this rain, this downpour happening, is a sign, or can be a sign, that your super bloom is on its way. Your super bloom is coming. You're about to turn the corner to good things, blessings, favor, opportunities in your life, but especially things that you wouldn't have necessarily seen or appreciated without the rain. And I know I'm not alone, and that sometimes the hard times really help me appreciate the grace and the lack of tension and things working out. Because without having the challenge, let's say, I don't always appreciate the beauty after it. And those downpours in our life can be really uncomfortable. Things fall apart. Our health can fall apart. Life changes and all of that. But what we don't often realize is that the rain is necessary, right? I mean, and Jill made this analogy that there are seeds in you and I that will only open up with the downpours. Seeds in us that will only open and flower when we've gone through some of the stress to get there. And so he said, like, rain can seem like a real setback, but it can really be setting us up for something better. I mean, rain happens, downpours happen, and outside and inside, and in our lives. And, I believe, I don't know myself, you, me, we do our best. And I believe everyone's simply trying to do their best. And I try to keep the faith, that everything's going to work out. And yet at times, the temptation is there to become discouraged. But that is when it's really important for all of us to remember that, hey, there's a super bloom down the road in our future. There's a shift. Those seeds that we've been working on and nurturing and trying to get through, the hard times happen, but change is the one consistent factor in the world. Let me make sure. Let me think. I don't know. I cannot think of anybody who has only had bad stuff happen in their lives for their whole lives. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. There's this, it's an up and down kind of thing. And it is possible to come out of lack and into abundance. I've done it. You've done it. Millions, billions of people do it. And again, that's because change is that one consistent, constant thing in our lives. And, we can call it the ups and downs, but, that's what we call it, the ups and the downs. And then there's the ups again, where something will turn the corner and turn in our favor. And, I've been thinking a lot about this because I have had one of those months that I keep looking at, how is this possible? How am I creating this mess I find myself in? Usually from outside stuff happening. And then I think, he is right. There's the ups and downs. And now I'm coming out and I'm coming into an up period, which is great. And I agree when Joel had said, it's vitally important for us to keep the right perspective. All right. And it's helpful if we can, no, I'm not saying this is easy. Okay. I'm saying it's helpful, and it can get easy. It's not that hard for me, but anymore. But it's helpful to understand that, hey, yes, this too will pass. and I'm not always necessarily thankful for the rain, but I am very often grateful for what I learned out of it and what I learned from it. Because as you get older in life, and if you actually pay attention, you'll see there is the ups and downs, and sometimes there's the drought, just like in nature, and sometimes there's a lot of rain, but then sometimes we bloom and we blossom. And we flourish, and we'll actually have those better days. So in my vernacular, my way of talking about it, what I believe is that energy follows our thought and our intent. Okay? So the question is then, where do you want to put your energy? And, do you want to work? Do you want to focus on things working out? Or on, hey, this whole thing friggin' stinks and I'm never going to make it. I'll never succeed. I'm not going to have it good. Things will never work out. I mean, think about that. Do you want to put your energy, and your energy follows your thought and your intent, into like, oh my God, this is never going to work. Or, oh my God, yeah, this is a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to learn so much and this is going to, turn out great. And I swear to you that if you play with it and run the experiment and watch what happens when you've got this negative thought, I mean, I do this all the time. It's like my mind will start chewing on something and go, damn it, why is it so freaking hard? And then I'll catch myself and I'll just go, Diana, this is hard right now. It really is. But it's going to work out. We're going to figure it out. You can learn this, study this, you'll get it. It's all going to be okay. And when I do that, and we call it stalking, my shoulders come down from my ears. There's a visceral, physical reaction. And I probably talked about this in other Wisdom and Wines, but when we do all that stress, our minds can't tell the difference between real and imagined events. So when we're imagining things are going to turn out awful, our body goes, oh shit, things are going to turn out awful. And then it starts kicking out stress hormones. And that's not healthy. Trust me, I've been there. This is not a good thing. And so if we can catch that thought before it kind of runs rampant and switch it to, hey, I can learn this, I can do this, I can work this out. It'll be all right. If you will just pay attention, you're going to see your body will calm down. Your body will calm down. And so it's really, there's the old story, the Cherokee legend of which wolf do you want to feed? Do you want to feed the positive, the nurturing, the heart opening, give it, yes, all I got? Do you want to feed that side of you? Or do you want to put your energy and your thoughts into, yeah, shit, it's all falling apart, doom and gloom and blah. I don't know about you. I know what I want. I don't want that. And I've been playing with this whole concept because it's just what I do for, 30 years longer, long time. And I have found that this is actually true. That you're in control of your life. You're also in control of your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts, Deepak Chopra actually once said, if you change, what he actually said was, the rishis in India believe that if you can change your thoughts, you can change your world. And if you work with it and play with it, you'll find that he's absolutely correct. You can do this. And then going back to the whole seed metaphor. So researchers really have found, they found some seeds in Egypt, and Joel was talking about this and I looked it up. The seeds were like 2,500, 3,000 years old. They still flowered and bloomed when they were put in the right conditions. And so honestly, I agree with Joel. There is hope. That if seeds that have been dormant for, 2,500 years are still healthy and full of life, and all they needed were the right energy, the right circumstances, the water and all that to help them come back to life. Using it as a metaphor for ourselves, it goes back to, where do you want your energy to go? Where do you want it, And we all have, I think we probably all have seeds inside of us that have gone dormant in our lives. Things that we dreamed that we wanted to do. And it's like, but it hasn't happened yet. It's like you've been thinking of it or wanting it for so long and it hasn't happened yet. And now you're kind of getting disappointed and, it's never going to happen. And again, I'm just like you, been there, done that, And so the problem comes when things are not happening. I mean, I've only got a couple of things that I've actually had my energy towards that haven't happened. Everything else has. But the problem comes when things don't happen on our timetable. And that's the part of the key here. We always make it on our timetable, or how the way we want it to come. And so we stop, one, seeing the gifts if they come in another form or fashion. And also we stop believing, and we stop having faith. Again, whether that's in yourself or the universe or the divine, however you want to view that, and we start putting energy toward, well, I thought this was going to happen, but it's not happening now. This is where the problems come. Okay. You've got to understand, you got to get it. Just because it hasn't happened the way you wanted it to exactly, it doesn't mean that the seeds aren't still in there. And so there's a great story we tell in some Toltec work about, or a bunch of stuff, but it's basically, so you've got a person. I'll just use me. This is not me, but I have been wanting, a better way to get to work, and I really want, I want that like bright red convertible, because what I want is the feeling of the wind in my hair and the freedom and the smells of the seasons, and I'm putting out, this is what I want. Well, I keep going on. I don't get the red convertible, but I completely do not even see the red bicycle or the red motorcycle that I could have had, that it would have given me exactly what I said I wanted. The wind in my hair, the feel of the wind and the temperatures and the seasons and the smells and all of that. That's what I actually wanted. And I said it had to come as a red convertible, and it actually could have come, or did come, as a bike and a motorcycle. So we've got to pay attention that things, one, they may take time, and two, they may actually be coming to us in a different form. But because we're so stuck on it's got to be this way, we miss the opportunity to see all the other ways it can happen. And so I know for myself, I said most of my big dreams have happened, and it's true, but one of them was huge. And this was back in the 90s. And I had been traveling through Asia and Southeast Asia and had spent time in Indonesia. And I came back with this dream in my heart. I wanted to go back to Indonesia and teach batik, which I do, batik to the deaf and disabled on Java. Right. And I'd worked a lot with nonprofits and people with disabilities. So I wanted to go back and teach it as a means of self-sufficiency for that population. And so I had the dream, and I thought about it day and night. I mean, I put every law of attraction thing you could imagine into it. And I'm thinking about it. I see myself there because I spent a month or more in the country. I see myself there and, getting the pineapples or going to the ocean or the mountains and just everything about Indonesia, day and night, right? 6 months go by, nothing's happening. So I put a little ad up. There was one, this is Spokane, Washington. There was one little Asian market in the whole town, right? And so I went up and asked them if I could put a little note there. And the note was, looking for someone to teach me Indonesian. And a week comes by, nobody said anything. 2 weeks pass. I think, oh, crap, what's going on? But I'm just convinced, right? I did keep the faith. And I go back and I look, check, yep, it's still there. And so I just kept putting out the energy that I was going to learn Indonesian. And so another week or two go by, and suddenly I get a phone call one day from a guy named Siang, who said he would teach me Indonesian. So the only Asian market in the whole town and the only person that responded ended up, I started learning Bahasa Indonesia, which I did learn. And again, remember, my dream was to go and teach batik to the deaf and disabled. About 3 months into Siang teaching me Indonesian and knowing about my dream, I told him the whole reason I wanted to learn. He had no idea how that would work or be possible. All of a sudden, I get a telephone call one night, and he says, Diana, can you, my friend Siang, who owns the English language school in Jakarta, is here. Can you come? And I was like, he told me the dude was coming to Seattle, and I was like, Seattle? And I can't go to Seattle like right now. And he said, no, Diana, he's at my house. Can you come to my house? And I said, give me your address and I'll come. And so I go and I meet Siang and his wife, Lena, and they own an English language school in Jakarta. They have them in Jakarta and Bandung. And, we talk and all of that. And I tell him, my dreams a little bit, not all of it. And he doesn't have any openings in his school because that would be a way for me to get in the country. And so he leaves, says, I don't know, but, if I hear of anything, I'll let you know. So I'm at work one day. I was a station accountant for NBC in Spokane. And all of a sudden, I get this package in the mail from Indonesia, and it was every single thing. He had a place that was opening for me. And I actually wrote a book about this. He accepted me. I had 1 month. 6 weeks or 5 weeks. I had to go be accepted into the RSA training program in California. I had to go for a month, be trained. I had to pass the training. And then I had to close up my life, get a flight and get back to Indonesia in like 5 or 6 weeks. And I won't bore you, but every single solitary thing, miracles happen. I mean, people gave me, miracles happen. It was pretty friggin' amazing. And, my boss at NBC, this is the last bit on that. He, one day, Bob was his name. He walks up and he hands me a dollar bill, and I'm looking at it. And I go, "What's this for, Bob?" And he says, "I want you to go bet this in the lottery because I cannot believe what is happening in your life and the luck that you're having." All right. So that dream, I didn't give up. I almost did 1,000,000 times, and I got so disappointed and so discouraged, but I kept the faith that it was going to happen. And it was a year, I think, from start to finish, that I wound up hopping on a flight with 1,000,000 literal miracles happening, and getting into Indonesia, right? And so that's an example of how this can work if you keep the faith. Other stuff was happening, but I just kept holding on and putting my energy and my thoughts into that happening. And then miracles happen to make it possible. And also, if you think about it, another concept that Joel had mentioned was that our ancestors also planted seeds, right? Through their hopes, their dreams, their prayers, and a lot of them did not mature in their lifetime. But they're still in yours and mine and our ancestral family lines. It's like they had the vision, but it was for the next generation to manifest that vision. And we see this happening all the time. It's how practically, things that I didn't look up the different scientists and stuff, but electricity figures it out here, but it takes, X amount of years later or decades later for everything to mature. So a lot of things have been an idea and a concept that was for the next generation to manifest. And that happens with us as well. And so the whole point of all of this that I found so fascinating with Joel and Superblooms is that in that analogy, it's the things that we dread, the drought, and things dying through the drought, followed by a whole ton of rain that actually wasn't that much fun at the time. And yet the understanding that those hardships between the drought and the flooding and all is exactly and the only way a super bloom can happen. It will never happen without those exact sets of circumstances coming into form. Yeah. And I find that really interesting. And his whole point for him and me is that, things can look sketchy. All right. They can be hard. We all go through that. And they arise, they exist, and they pass away. And so it's really, really helpful to remember that. I know for myself in the time this month or so where it's been pretty friggin' challenging, I forced myself to keep faith. And it often looked more like, shit, why is this happening? And then I would just literally turn around and kind of laugh at myself. It's like, look at you, what makes you so special? This shit shouldn't happen to you. And then I would come back to, I am learning a lot, and at a minimum, that's important. We are learning a lot, and we're only doing that if we open ourselves up. And then also, really and truly, I had to look at, because my biggest whine this last few weeks has been, why can't it be easy? You know, why? Because it always have to be so friggin' hard. You know, why can't something just friggin' work and work smoothly and well? I was really feeling sorry for myself several times during this period. And when I realized, you know, it was like I just wanted it to be easy. And so part of what it reminded me is that, and again, this is tied into what we think and where our energy goes, is there's a great little sign that says HALT, HALTT. And that stands for, like, stop, basically. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or triggered? Okay, am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or triggered? So that HALT has two T's on it. And so we need to understand when any of those things are happening, that we need to not believe a single friggin' thing our minds tell us, for one. I know that very clearly. So as soon as I find myself chewing on anything else, I have this little, I just told somebody about it recently. I do the old, if I'm pointing a finger at you, circumstances, anything else, three are pointing back at me. And I turned that back and I really look. I said, oh, okay, if I'm not upset about this, am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or triggered? And I was usually hungry, I'd had dehydrated, and tired. And so we have to stop when that happens. But then we also have to really understand the truth. Yeah, sometimes things just stink, but they're not going to stay that way forever. You know, our super bloom is coming, because that's the way it all works. We have the ups and downs and ups and downs. And if you look at your life, yeah, sometimes the ups are really long. Sometimes the downs are really long. What I have found for myself is, because I know energy follows my thoughts. I know if I focus on crap, I will get crap. If I focus on good shit, I get good shit. I usually am having a very blessed life. So my ups and downs, they happen like a wavelengths like that, you know, and they're long, you know, I stay really high, you know, be more like this and then whoop, and then up. And you can too. So understand that sometimes this, you know, discomfort is necessary, and understand that you do have control. You can shift things. Don't lose faith, and don't lose faith in yourself. And then keep your energy going where you want it to go. So that's how Superblooms, faith, and deserts all tied in together. So thank you all for putting up with me. You know, this guy Joel, I really enjoy his teachings, and he has some great jokes. So be well, and I will be back next time. Thank you.